Now that you understand what the thyroid is and how it works, you understand subclinical hypothyroidism and why so many women are dismissed. You understand Hashimoto's and why the immune system is often the real problem. You understand the medication conversation, T3, T4, combination therapy, and desiccated thyroid. But here's what I haven't told you yet. None of it works as well as it should without the foundation underneath it. Medication can replace a hormone. It cannot repair the system that broke it down in the first place. It cannot rebuild the gut lining. It cannot lower cortisol. It cannot replenish depleted nutrients. It cannot remove the triggers that are still activating your immune system every single day. That is what this video is about. This is the part that actually changes your life long term. And nobody is talking about it at your annual exam. Stay tuned. Welcome to part 4, the final video in our thyroid dysfunction series. My name is Dr. Tasheema Fair. I'm an OBGYN and hormone health strategist. And this is the unconventional OB. Now, if you've been with me for all 4 parts, congratulations. This series has been one of the most important things I put out on this channel. And this video is the one that ties everything together. We are talking about the complete thyroid optimization protocol. There are 6 pillars that support your thyroid function, your immune regulation, and your metabolism at the foundational level. This is your everyday roadmap, and we are about to build it together. All right? All right, let's get into it. Now, let me give you a framework first so you can hold it all together. All right. Thyroid optimization for women over 45 rests on 6 interconnected pillars. 6. One is your supportive anti-inflammatory nutrition. 2. Targeted supplementation. 3. Gut healing. 4. Cortisol and stress management. 5. Sleep optimization. And 6. Strategic movement. Every single one of these pillars directly affects either thyroid hormone production, T4 to T3 conversion, immune regulation, or all 3. They're not optional lifestyle suggestions. They are the biological infrastructure your thyroid runs on. And when any one of them is compromised, your thyroid and your medication cannot perform at full capacity. Pillar number 1 is thyroid supportive nutrition. So let's talk about nutrition because it's foundational and food is information. Every meal is either supporting your thyroid or creating friction for it. Here's some things to prioritize. Selenium, first on the list. Selenium is the most critical mineral for thyroid function. It is a required cofactor for enzymes that convert T4 to T3 and for the antioxidant systems that protect thyroid tissue from oxidative stress or damage. About 2 to 3 Brazil nuts daily provide your entire selenium requirement. Other sources include salmon, eggs, and turkey. Zinc is second. Zinc supports both thyroid hormone synthesis and immune regulation. Things like oysters are the highest food source, followed by grass-fed beef, pumpkin seeds, and legumes. Iodine is required for thyroid hormone production. T4 literally stands for thyroxine with 4 iodine molecules. Here's the nuisance. For women with Hashimoto's, excess iodine can actually accelerate autoimmune activity. So the goal is adequacy, not supplementation. Things like seaweed, seafood, eggs provide enough iodine without excess risk of high dose supplementation. Omega-3 fatty acids from wild salmon, sardines, walnuts, flax seeds. These directly reduce the systemic inflammation that drives autoimmune activity and impairs conversion. Here are some foods to reduce or eliminate. Ultra processed foods, not because of calories, but because they are primary drivers of gut permeability, systemic inflammation, and immune dysregulation, all of which directly worsen thyroid function and autoimmune activity. So things like gluten, which we covered in part 2, y'all remember molecular mimicry between gluten proteins and thyroid tissue. That's a documented mechanism in Hashimoto's. And so I recommend a 60 to 90-day gluten elimination trial for any woman with confirmed Hashimoto's or elevated thyroid antibodies. The results are often dramatic. Excess sugar and refined carbs. They spike insulin, drive inflammation, and suppress immune regulation. They are fuel for autoimmune flares. Alcohol. It directly compromises the gut lining, elevates cortisol, disrupts sleep, and impairs liver based T4 to T3 conversion. For women working on thyroid optimization, even moderate alcohol consumption is a meaningful friction point. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Pillar number 2, nutrient replenishment. See, diet is the foundation, but for most women I work with, dietary intake alone is not sufficient to correct the deficiencies that have accumulated over the years. Targeted supplementation is frequently necessary. And here's the core thyroid optimization supplement stack with clinical context. First one, selenium, 200 micrograms daily. There have been multiple randomized controlled trials that have shown that selenium supplementation reduces TPO antibody at levels in Hashimoto's patients and improves thyroid hormone conversion. This is not a fringe supplement recommendation. This is published endocrinology research. Zinc, 15 to 30 milligrams daily. Okay. You take it with food to prevent nausea. Zinc competes with copper for absorption, so long term supplementation should be paired with 1 to 2 milligrams of copper. Vitamin D with K12. Most perimenopausal women are vitamin D deficient, and low vitamin D is strongly associated with autoimmune flare activity. You want to have a blood level of 60 to 80 nanograms per milliliter. So 3,000 to 5,000 international units of D3 daily pair with K2. Okay? And check the levels every 90 days. Magnesium glycinate, 300 to 400 milligrams at night. Magnesium supports over 300 enzyme reactions in the body, including those involved in thyroid hormone production and cortisol regulation. It also significantly improves sleep quality, making it a 2-for-1 for women with perimenopause. Iron and ferritin. See, low ferritin impairs thyroid peroxidase enzyme function and T4 to T3 conversion. You want to, if your ferritin is below 70, and that's functionally low for thyroid optimization, even if it sits inside the standard reference range. If your ferritin is low, iron supplementation under provider guidance is a priority. B12. Frequently deficient in women with Hashimoto's, particularly those with gut permeability issues affecting absorption. Low B12 compounds the fatigue, the brain fog, and mood symptoms that already characterize thyroid dysfunction. So we want to get that B12 up. Pillar number 3, gut healing. Your gut is the second thyroid command center, and it is the pillar that gets the least attention in standard thyroid care. But you know, Doc T is going to tell you all about it. Here's why it matters so profoundly. Approximately 20% of T4 to T3 conversion happens in the gut wall, specifically in the intestinal epithelium. And when that lining is compromised, things like leaky gut, dysbiosis, chronic inflammation, that conversion drops. Less active T3 reaches your cells regardless of how much levothyroxine you take. Beyond conversion, the gut houses 70% of your immune system, so a dysregulated gut microbiome is a primary driver for autoimmune activity, including Hashimoto's. Healing the gut is not optional for women with autoimmune thyroid disease. It is central to managing it. A gut healing protocol for thyroid support looks a little something like this, okay? Eliminate the triggers: gluten, ultra processed foods, alcohol, excessive sugar. If food sensitivity testing suggests other triggers, those go as well. Replace restored digestive capacity. Digestive enzymes with meals if bloating and incomplete digestion are present. Stomach acid support is needed. Reinoculate. High quality multi strand probiotic supplementation. Look for formulations containing lactobacillus and other species with at least 25 to 50 billion CFU daily. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, are if tolerated, and provide additional microbial diversity. Repair. L-glutamine is the primary food source for enterocytes, the cells that line your gut wall. So 5 grams daily on an empty stomach is a well tolerated starting dose for most women. Things like collagen, zinc, licorice are often also provide evidence for gut lining repair. This is a 60 to 90-day process, not a one time intervention. The gut lining renews itself and healing takes place with consistency. 4. Cortisol and stress regulation. Cortisol is a silent thyroid saboteur, and it is the one that most high achieving women completely underestimate because stress has become so normalized in their daily lives that they don't even register it as a problem anymore. Chronically elevated cortisol does 3 specific things to your thyroid system. First, it suppresses TSH production from the pituitary. Less TSH means less signal to the thyroid to produce hormones. Second, it directly inhibits the enzyme activity. So, less enzyme activity means less T4 converts to active T3. Third, it drives T4 toward reverse T3 instead of active T3. More reverse T3 means more receptor site blockade and less cellular thyroid effect. Stress management for thyroid optimization is not a soft recommendation, it is a biochemical necessity. What actually moves the needle, okay? Cortisol awakening response regulation. The most important cortisol window is the first 30 to 60 minutes after waking. Avoid checking your phone, email, or social media immediately upon awakening. Get natural light within the first 20 minutes of being awake. This resets your circadian cortisol rhythm and prevents the dysregulation that drives high all day cortisol. Nervous system downregulation practice. Choose one: meditation, breath work, prayer, journaling, something that activates the parasympathetic nervous system for a minimum of 10 minutes daily. This is not about stress elimination. It is about building your recovery capacity so the stress you cannot avoid has less physiologic impact. Adaptogenic support, ashwagandha in clinical doses of 300 to 600 micrograms daily, has the most robust evidence for cortisol reduction and thyroid support of any adaptogen. Multiple studies shows it reduces cortisol, reduces TSH in subclinical hypothyroid patients, and improves T3 and T4. It is one of the most well-studied adaptogens for thyroid health specifically. Boundary setting, the non-negotiable, the non-supplemental piece. Overcommitment, people pleasing, and the relentless pace that defines high achieving women over 45 is a chronic cortisol load that no supplement can fully offset. This is a lifestyle conversation, not just a wellness one. Pillar number 5, sleep. Sleep is when your thyroid system regenerates. TSH peaks during deep sleep, specifically between midnight and 4 a.m. Consistent sleep deprivation suppresses TSH, blunts thyroid hormone output, and elevates cortisol in a self reinforcing cycle. For women in perimenopause, where estrogen and progesterone fluctuations are already disrupting sleep architecture, thyroid dysfunction compounds the insomnia, and the insomnia compounds the thyroid dysfunction. Breaking this cycle requires deliberate intervention. Non negotiables for thyroid supportive sleep. Let me give you a list: consistent sleep and wake times, including weekends. Circadian rhythm consistency is the single most powerful lever for TSH regulation. Irregular sleep timing fragments the cortisol rhythm and suppresses the nighttime TSH peak. Complete darkness, blackout curtains or sleep masks, light exposure at night suppresses melatonin, elevates cortisol, and directly disrupts the TSH surge that happens in deep sleep. Room temperature. The optimum sleep temperature for deep sleep and hormonal recovery is 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body temperature must drop slightly to initiate and sustain deep sleep stages. Pre-sleep protocol: no screens for 60 minutes before bed. Magnesium glycinate 300 milligrams before sleep. L-theanine 200 milligrams if you have racing thoughts. For women with significant progesterone decline, low dose bioidentical progesterone at bedtime supports both sleep architecture and thyroid sensitivity simultaneously. Target for a minimum of 7 to 8 hours. For women in active autoimmune flares or high stress periods, 8 to 9 hours is a therapeutic dose, not a luxury. Pillar number 6. Exercise supports thyroid function, but how you exercise matters enormously, particularly for women with Hashimoto's or adrenal stress. Here is what helps. Resistance training is the single most thyroid supportive form of exercise for women over 45. Building and maintaining muscle mass increases cellular sensitivity to thyroid hormone, improves insulin signaling, supports metabolic rate, and reduces systemic inflammation. 3 to 4 sessions per week of progressive resistance training is the target. Zone 2 cardio, low intensity steady state movements such as walking, cycling, or swimming at a conversational pace improves mitochondrial function, reduces inflammatory markers, and supports cortisol balance without stressing the adrenal system. 30 to 45 minutes, 3 to 5 times per week. Here is what can hurt if done excessively: high intensity interval training and chronic endurance exercise, particularly in the context of active Hashimoto's, elevated antibodies, or adrenal insufficiency, can drive cortisol elevation, increase inflammation, and actually worsen thyroid symptoms. This is counterintuitive for women who have been told to exercise more. The issue is not an exercise volume, it is exercise type and recovery capacity. The rule I use clinically: match your exercise intensity to your recovery capacity. If you finish a workout and feel energized and clear, that was appropriate. If you finish and feel flat, depleted, and need a nap, the intensity is exceeding your recovery capacity and it is actively working against your thyroid optimization. All right, so let's put this all together. Here's the reality. You do not have to implement all six pillars simultaneously. That approach tends to produce overwhelm and nothing. So instead, build consensually. So week 1 through 4, focus on nutrition and nutrient repletion. Remove gluten, eliminate ultra processed foods and alcohol, and begin your core supplement stack. Selenium, vitamin D, K2, magnesium, and zinc. These produce the fastest measurable improvements in thyroid antibodies and conversion. Month 2, add the gut healing protocol, L-glutamine, a quality probiotic, fermented foods alongside the dietary foundation that's already in place. Ongoing parallel work, sleep optimization, and cortisol management. These do not have a start date. They are daily practices that compound over time. Begin the morning light protocol and the pre-sleep routine immediately. Add a dedicated nervous system practice within the first couple of weeks. Month 2 ongoing, structure resistance training, building progressively. Start with 2 sessions per week if you're deconditioned and build from there. Retest your complete thyroid panel, TSH, free T3, free T4, reverse T3, and antibodies at 90 days. This is your feedback loop. The numbers will tell you what shifted, what still needs attention, and whether your medication needs to be reassessed in light of the foundational work you have done. All right? Okay. Now, we've covered a lot of ground in this series. We started with understanding what the thyroid is and why subclinical hypothyroidism is the most missed diagnosis in women. We went into Hashimoto's and the autoimmune root that drives most thyroid dysfunction. We had a medication conversation. T3, T4, desiccated thyroid, and combination therapy. And today we built a complete lifestyle protocol that makes everything work better. This is the level of care that you deserve. And this is exactly what we build together inside my program, the Empowered Wellness Accelerator, a 12-month comprehensive framework where we put all of this into a personalized protocol for your specific labs, your specific symptoms, your specific history, not generic advice, your plan. If you've been watching this series and thinking this is exactly what I've been missing, I want you to take the next step. The link is in the description of this video to apply to work with me. We get on an alignment call and let's get your life back. If you find value in this series, share this with a woman in your life who has been told her labs are normal while she's still suffering. She needs to hear this. You know who she is. Subscribe to this channel and comment below and tell me which pillar from today's video do you most need to work on. In the meantime, in between time, I want you to stay healthy, stay vibrant, and stay unconventional. Listen, you were not built to feel this way, and now you have a roadmap to change it. I will see you in the next video. Peace.